Good day, good day, good day, everybody. Get yourself in here and get ready to see what's going on. This short episode, I always say it's short, don't I? For welcome to All for Success. And here at this space, we like to support all things Sussex, right? That's the Duke and the Duchess, Lilibet and Archie. Why? Because they deserve to be supported as they move through life doing the good work that they do. Yes, indeed, no matter what is going on in their world. So, that being said, let me explain one of the reasons why. For me, I look at them being the parent of adult children myself, and I find their struggle one that I could easily see my children experiencing at some level, right? When you have young family members, young children that are now adults, well, they're going to be going through life. They're going to meet with a lot of obstacles. They're going to get married. They're going to be in relationships, all of that comes with it. So what do they need? Support, kind, compassionate support. Why instead do many families instead impart mischief, anger, and all kinds of consternation upon young adult members of the family? I don't know, but I know we all experienced it when we were young, in one way or another. Right? So look, it's early Sunday morning. If you have a mind, grab yourself a cup of coffee, get ready to sit back a moment or two, and join in and enjoy sharing your thoughts here at All for Success. Please leave a thumbs up or a chat in the chat comment line just to let me know that you can hear me loud and clear. And let me know that you're there listening in, okay? I love to have comments to read from anyone who is listening. And I know I am very chaotic, so. And so just bear with me with that. Okay, so let me put this aside. Let's see what we got here. Let's see what's going on. I'll have to also remind everyone, please hit that subscribe button. Every now and then YouTube somehow does a reset. So even though you may have subscribed before, you might lose the subscription. And feel free to click that notification bell so that you know when I'm going to be popping up with something to say or a little comment here or there. And I'm going to try to get more of those done. Everyone who is supporting me says, you need to do more. So, okay, I'm going to try it. All right, I'm going to try my best to do more. So this morning, folks, I just want to play a real quick, wonderful throwback. And let's see if this
thing about Koreatown, you could go to all ages clubs and karaoke bars.
I was part of dance crews, all that stuff.
You were?
Yeah.
No one talks about all the dances that were such a big deal. Not the actual dance,
like
but the
Roger
dances.
Rabbit era?
The Roger Rabbit and the Kid and Play, and it was just so much fun.
Man, you and I are so similar. You and I are like we should have met a long time ago.
Do you listen to music when you're cooking?
I do. I listen to a lot of lyrical hip hop, jazz, sometimes speed metal, death metal.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
What's speed metal?
Just like dark.
That doesn't sound like the joy of cooking.
Yeah, but we all have different sides to who we are.
That's true. Multifaceted folks. That's what we are.
It's good for when you're butchering. So I cut these into squares.
Look at what we made. Thing about.
I hope you enjoyed that short, quick moment back to one of the earlier episodes of With Love, Megan. It was one that I really enjoyed as I watched them make their wonderful salads and dishes. Look, that show really keeps me lighthearted in the mind. Many people don't understand the advantage of having something to get your attention and help you just manage your day to day. So that's why I always say, like, here, please get up and get out and exercise, especially if you enjoy being out and about. Walking in nature is one of my things. And I like to just get outside and get some fresh air. This morning it was extremely cold, but it's something about that activity that will clear my head, clear my mind, even though walking for me is a little bit more difficult than it used to be. But I say that to say this. If you are experiencing just being inundated with some of the news stories, some of the intense information that's coming across in the media today, some of the intense storylines that are coming forward in the news. We have different actions happening with police in one place. You've got people protesting in another place. You've got all types of diversions going on. And if you're not careful, these type of things that are happening in the real world day to day can absolutely drain you. And I am not immune to this. So I definitely encourage you to exercise, stretch, whatever level you can, things to help keep your mind in a space where you can move through the day to day without completely and totally being inundated by all types of things that are happening around you in the world. So just keep that in mind. Now, I've got some throwback slides here because what is it Meghan Markle and Prince Harry are doing is what they do on a daily basis. Sort of what I'm saying. You have to continue to do what you do or need to do each day. You have to be constantly working that muscle, the muscle that will keep you attentive to what is going on right around you. It doesn't mean that you ignore the rest of the world, but what it means is that you function in the space that you are occupying, right? I always say this to my kids, it's funny. Whatever is going on in the world, you still need to get up in the morning, make your bed, right? And get dressed. Because in a sense, that's a constant. So if you try to make sure you exercise that muscle that keeps you on that move, you're working towards trying to moderate sometimes your emotions around what else might be happening in the real world, but you cannot, if you can, you really have to work at this. You cannot let that take you over to the point that you cannot function. And that is what I believe is very important for us to do. Now, here's what's interesting. Meghan Markle has developed a series which is trying to help you do that. It's trying to help you focus on, organizing your kitchen, thinking about recipes, having fun with things that you enjoy doing, and inviting others to enjoy those moments with you. We have to look at that and say, you know what, that's a positive thing. So we should also try to stay in that same place. Stay positive and work with them. The other side of that is looking at how the naysayers are out there and what they are trying to do to keep you off balance. Right? What do the naysayers do? They try to make everything in your world feel like pain and misery. They want to constantly remind you of things that will make you feel down and out. But you can't let that take over. I was having a conversation, if you want to call it that, talking to a little youngster. And at one point, this little youngster was out playing around and doing something around a group of adults, and they kind of got in trouble for something they did or something they said. You know how little kids are. They might knock something off of a table, or they may grab something they shouldn't grab, or they might wander off when they should stay close by. And so the adults were like, "What are you doing?" and kind of fussing with them. And later on, the little one said, "Everybody's mad at me," right? And it just made me feel like myself, being 2 or 3, 4 years old myself. I felt, I understand that feeling. when you are around other people and you do something or you don't do something or you're not moving the way they want you to move, and people get kind of incensed and they scold you for it, right? You're not moving fast enough, or you're not going far enough, or you need to put that down, or you didn't do this right. That's how we sometimes admonish young children. And in a room where everybody is doing that, they begin to feel like, nobody is liking me and everyone is mad at me, right? Well, this is kind of the fake world in a way, because that's absolutely not true, is it? Sometimes the young ones are being told these things or called out on these things for their own safety and security. And then sometimes it is at the irritation of the adult, right? Often adults can just be irritated by something, and that irritation flows out all over everyone else and everything else that is going on, right? But that's one of those things about being an adult, that we are supposed to try to govern ourselves, especially when dealing with young people, right? We're supposed to try to govern our own emotions so that we don't get caught up in spreading what might be negative to us all over someone else. I say that in relation to the greater UK media machine. Now, I am going to look at various detailed, specific stories in the future, but just right now, I love to just kind of take that 1,000-mile view, because in the UK media, I listen to some of the clips from other YouTube podcasters when they zero in and drill down on different talk show hosts or different media personalities. And I can't help but get so tickled at what we see and experience. One of the casters on one of these shows, and I can't even remember the individuals' names, they're so irritating. She just kept saying how Meghan is not going to come back to the UK. Now, the reason this conversation is occurring is because in the UK media, every day, right, like clockwork, like science, there is no other headline in their news. There is no other news in the UK media except whatever Harry is doing, or whatever is being done to Harry, or whatever Meghan is doing, or whatever is being done to Meghan. In the UK currently, there is no other news. They don't even have news about the rest of the royal family. Why? Because there's nothing of any interest to report. Everything they do is in opposition slash or contradiction to whatever Harry and Meghan are doing. They cannot write any news story of any type. They cannot feature any individual in the royal family. They cannot do it. They cannot even have a story about a member of the royal family without the concurrent mention of Harry and Meghan. They have no news. They have no stories. They have no interest in the royal family, except as it is juxtaposed, that means positioned next to whatever Harry and Meghan are doing, whatever the Sussex family is doing, whatever the children might be thinking, whatever their in-laws might be operating, whatever bad behavior Meghan's father is caught up in this week. That is the only thing that the UK media, tabloids, and talk shows can do. They have to perform that. And so on one of these shows, this woman was saying, with such confidence, well, Meghan probably will never come back to the UK because nobody likes her. That people in the UK, they just don't like her. And then she decided to add, and Americans don't like her either. This was their talk show, right? They're somehow super wonderful X-Men ability to know that Americans don't like Meghan. And then what was further said is that Americans don't like Meghan because we have family values and we believe in family. And as far as we're concerned, Meghan herself single-handedly has destroyed two families, both the royal family and her own. This was her proclamation. Imagine that. Okay, just imagine that. This young lady, who was an aspiring actress on a show, a very fairly popular show, doing what she does, traveling all over the world, building wells, having a great time. But somehow that is how they have defined her, and they have to come on television every day and in the media space every day, and they have to say that every single day. They have to make those proclamations because they do not want to miss anyone that they could spread with this peanut butter that no one likes her. They've got to do it. And they've got to keep that up forever. So here's what I'm going to do on the flip side. I am going to remind the world every time I have a podcast that no one in America likes the UK or the UK monarchy. Every single day we need to say that Americans despise the UK. Every day we have to talk about the fact that Americans are sick and tired of hearing British accents on television. Let's just go ahead and continue to say this over and over. How much Americans hate everything that the UK has to offer except Disneyland characters. Right? Let's just keep go. We're going to say that every day. We're going to just make proclamations like they do. All Americans cannot stand British accents. Right? That's how Americans feel. Americans are sick and tired of the UK and the UK media. And we stand behind Meghan 100%. All right? So we're making proclamations. I'm just going to do that every time I come on the pod. All right? Because it's important that there is another story being told. And we need to tell it. Okay? So that's my proclamation for today, that Americans cannot stand the UK media, and Americans are sick and tired of hearing British accents on American television. Okay? So I hope that that is made very much well known all across America and the rest of the world. Okay? Because that's what we're going to do. If they can make proclamations continuously about a family that isn't even looking at them, right? They make proclamations about them every day, and they talk about everything, i.e. royal family, from the perspective of what they believe Harry and Meghan to think and feel. They have no concern with the royal family at all. They moved away. They decided to live their own lives, do their own thing. They don't care what you do in the UK. And Americans don't care what you do in the UK. Why? Because Americans don't care about the UK. All right? Proclamations. Americans do not care about the UK. So let's all just make sure we join in and repeat that, right? We don't care what you do in the UK. As a matter of fact, we would like all the people from everywhere else not infiltrating America with their own ideas. We don't need them because Americans, we do not like outsiders, right? That's how we are. We don't like that. Americans do not like outsiders. Okay? We don't like it. And we definitely don't like posh British accents. We don't like it. Okay? So there you have it. Now, with that being said, before I get ready to wrap up, because I know I told you guys I wasn't going to be long, I just wanted to quickly say, see who is here, and just thank you all for being here and tell you how much I appreciate it. Oh, look at here. King for Concepts, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. You're saying we're here and listening, so I assume that's because you said you could hear me. Oh, my goodness. Welcome, welcome. Joyce Anderson is in the house. Thank you so much for being here. And you're saying good Sunday morning. Let's say to you all for success and everyone. Happy New Year. Yes, yes, it is a great new year, but we've got to stay on top of things this new year. We cannot be here pretending to do the same thing we did last year. Joyce Anderson also says, I can't stand British accents. That is the truth. I would not be lying. You know what? It's so funny. I mean, they're all over our television and our airways. We need to get them out of here. And someone else who had something negative to say about my channel and that it might seem strange, well, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I appreciate you being here because you know what they say. Hey, you're not doing it if you're not getting the haters online. Thank you so much. But what you have to understand from your hate point of view is that everything is not for everybody. And if this isn't for you, bye-bye now, right? Bye-bye. So if it's for you and those who it is for, it makes sense. They understand. And they get it. So with that, guys, you know how I do. I'm going to twinkle up out of here because I'm about enjoy any type of Bible readings, to listen to some of the wonderful scripture that I pick up, because every now and then there's a scripture or two that reminds me of something or gives me another thought, something to think about or how to look at something that might be happening in the world. And so I pick up these various scripture and I like to share them with you, and I hope that you enjoy them as well. So when I do the little twinkling, that's to let you know we're coming to that pause. Remember, I'm not trying to recruit you to any type of cult-like behavior. I just want to let you know that here's some of the things that gives me some thoughts. So listen, Psalms 23rd. Oh, this is another thing. For those of you who are interested in things like Bible study, there is a predicament that you notice even in the greater world. Now, this is totally unrelated, but you'll hear people talk about their faith, for example, or they'll brag about their faith as if other people don't have it. The interesting thing about the Bible is this, and remember, no cult. I'm not doing any cult recruiting, okay? I'm just kind of explaining something from my own past. There's this thing about Bible study that began when we were young. We did Sunday school as kids. But for those who might not be familiar, there are certain things that go on, or the way things are taught in various institutions. And when you're a part of a particular community, there are things that are done a certain way, and it becomes a habit. And thus it is easy to identify people who do not have that habit, right? And I'll give you an example of what I mean. For example, if I tell you that I'm going to read this Bible verse, and it's Psalms 23rd, there is a misnomer of a person that would say Psalms 23, right? That lets people who grew up, let's say, for example, in the Baptist tradition, it is very obvious that you are not a Sunday school trained Bible study candidate because of the way you say it. So I'm just pointing that out just to let you know, that being said, that people who are kind of in the vein came up in the church the way that I did, it is extremely apparent when someone says they are of this faith, that they can be identified as either new in this faith or not particularly sincere. And it will show up in some of the various little things of training. Now, if I say this is the 23rd Psalm, most basic Bible studiers are so familiar with the 23rd Psalm, they know the entire Psalm. What I have here is just one verse, right? And I just wanted to point that out because I hope that you are intrigued enough to maybe read the entire Psalm if you're not familiar with it. But those who are Bible thumpers or old school children out of the church, they're very familiar with the 23rd Psalm. So anyway, here's this verse that I thought was intriguing. In this reading, the psalm, of course, is like a song / prayer. Thou, which is to be interpreted as you, prepare a table before me in the presence of mine enemies, and you anoint my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Now that's the psalm. Now in the King James Version, it is more like, thou preparest the table before me in the presence of mine enemies, and you anointed my head with oil, and my cup runneth over. So the point here being that in the midst of a lot of anti and oppositional behavior, that those who have faith will be able to operate even in the midst of their enemies, even though their enemies are all over the place. Is that if you continue to have faith and drive forward, you will be lifted up and anointed, and the things that you put your hands to will continue to be blessed. Again, we have that, at least it appears to be the way we are moving with the family Sussex. They are struggling along and moving along and trying to do the things that they do, and currently they are continuing to move up that ladder. And I love seeing it. Now, it goes on later in Psalms 100 that there is a portion that is describing that you're going to sit at the right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet. The Lord will extend your mighty scepter from Zion, and you will rule in the midst of your enemies. You see, these are promises for those who keep their faith, even through difficult times. And you better believe that doesn't mean things will be easy. And it doesn't mean that there'll be an immediate reward. But it is just a way of continuing to give yourself more of a support and faithful view to know that it has been said that if you continue to maintain your movement to what is right, righteousness, is that eventually the enemy will fall at your feet. So we're going to keep praying for that, and we're definitely going to keep praying for that for the whole family of the Sussex. So I hope you all enjoyed this short break, okay? And I'm going to try to get more comments to you. And whenever I see something on the other side of the wall, I want to point it out, right? And I'm going to point it out. If you think all Americans feel a certain way about something, well, I think I have the right to say that, correct? We support the Sussex family. I support Miss Doria. I support Prince Harry. I support Lilibet and Archie. And until this moment, I have no reason not to. But I can't say that on the other side of the wall. So thank you all for joining me, and I appreciate your being here. So listen, you guys get out there, stay active, connect positively, and accept your victory. Thank you all for being here. I hope to holler at you soon.